Hello, in this tutorial we're going to show you how you can get the accountability, the transparency, the communication, all of which you came to Quiggler to have from your agent. So we're going to show you how you get that by adding a new transaction. To begin, go out to Quiggler.com and log in the upper right, and you will come to this familiar screen. Just give us the email or password that you created your account with. And then you're going to be taken to what's called your transaction dashboard page. But right now there are no transactions, so we're going to add one. Click on New Transaction. We're now going to ask you for 3 sets of data that we need in order to go into our database and pull the correct steps and actions for you and customize it to your experience. So the first thing we need to know is whether you are a seller or a buyer. Are you selling or buying? And by the way, you can open up more than one transaction, and one can be you're selling your property in Manhattan, and the other one could be a buy transaction that you're going to be buying in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Just tell us which you are, and we will begin the process of extracting the proper data for you. Second, we need to have some contact data for you. Now, if you were taking test drive and you watched our tutorial there, you'll recall we never asked you for that. But here, because this is putting you on the road to inviting an agent to be with you during the transaction, that agent is going to need to know something about you, like your name and how to reach out to you and where you're located. Now, rest assured, this is private to you. We never send this information to anybody. Only you do. It only goes to an agent when you have invited an agent in to share the transaction with you. So rest assured that there are no privacy issues here. So just give us this information and we'll put it into your record. And if you live in a city, put in the area of the city that you live in. We need that only because cities are often large and an agent doesn't cover the whole city. They usually specialize in some one area. So to help you with that, we need to just have a sense of where you are in that particular city. So in New York City, for instance, there are 5 areas, or what are called boroughs. In New York, simply tell us which one we're in, and I'll give you some other reasons why we need that in just a moment. Finally, just tell us about the property that you're seeking to buy if you're a buyer, or the property that you're seeking to sell. Is it a single family, a condo, a co-op, or a multi? And multi, by the way, is 1 to 4 family only. More than 4 family is called commercial real estate and is outside the scope of Quiggler at this point in time. Now, if you're selling a property, tell us the address of it, and you can just click that box if it's the same as your home address. If you're a buyer, it's going to prompt you to tell us what areas or what towns or what areas you're looking to buy a property in. Now, just to return for a moment to New York City, and as an aside, in New York City there are 2 associations of realtors. There's the Real Estate Board of New York called REBNY, and there's the National Association of Realtors called NAR. Agents belong to either one or the other. In Manhattan, virtually all the agents belong to the Real Estate Board of New York, and therefore if you choose Manhattan, you're going to get the specific steps and actions required by their code of ethics. Now, you'll also get these actions required by federal law and by state law, but the code of ethics is going to be slightly different. If, for instance, you live in Manhattan or in Staten Island, there the agents are all realtors, members of NAR, and you're going to get a different set of actions, but again, the same federal and the same state. If the property is located in Queens or Brooklyn, there are both agents who operate there. So if you choose Queens or Brooklyn, you're going to get another query that looks like this. See if you can tell us whether they're a member of the Real Estate Board of New York or a member of the National Association of Realtors. And if you don't know, don't worry, just click I don't know. We'll default to giving you the NAR Code of Ethics actions, but then when you connect with an agent, if that agent is a member of the Real Estate Board of New York, it will auto-populate the Code of Ethics that they're required to follow, and you'll see those actions. So for now, just give us some indication, and then we'll correct all this later. That's it. Okay, now let's go and view the steps and actions for your transaction. Here they are. This is the screen that will pop up when you click on this particular transaction. And on the top, you will see the steps. Now, there can be 8, there can be as many as 11. It all depends on what belongs to the type of transaction that you've chosen. We urge you to just start clicking on each one of these. Notice they're sequential from left to right, from pre-listing activities to closing. Just pop open the steps so that you get an overview of the transaction. After all, this is the transparency that you came for. You want to know sort of what's coming and when it's coming and the order in which it's coming. Now you know. You are in the know. You have complete transparency. Then if you want to find out what's going to be required of your agent at that step, just click on the step and up will pop the actions that go with it underneath. They're in green and you'll find them like this. At this point, we want to make sure that you know that this is static. It's not interactive with an agent because after all, there is no agent, right? We haven't chosen one. But this is totally informational only. Therefore, you can see the steps that are coming up and you can see the actions, but you can't do anything. And in fact, there is nothing for you to do. These are all actions for your agent. So when you connect to an agent will start doing them, and then you're going to see some interactivity going on here. But right now, there's nothing for you to click or do. It's only read if you'd like to know what's going to be required. So what happens if the requirement is for you as a consumer? What if it's a federal law or a state law that you're required to do? Again, no worries. Your agent is here to guide you. So we will go to the agent and say, did you remind the seller that they need to do this? Did you tell the buyer that they need to do this? And we put it on the agent to guide you because after all, that's why you have the agent, to guide you through and keep you safe and make sure you are compliant with all the things that you need to do. So this is what the page is going to look like every time you go to your transaction and open it up. Now let me show you something cool. On the left side, you will always be in the know as to what your agent has done or not done. Here we have step 1, pre-listing activities, and it says there are 6 open actions. That means these are outstanding actions that haven't been done yet. Of course, we never chose an agent, so that's why they remain to be done. When they are done by your agent, they'll move to the next column, to being completed actions. This means that you can open up a step above, and at every step, you'll know what your agent did, and you'll know what your agent remains to do. Isn't that cool? I mean, that's the kind of transparency and accountability and communication that every consumer wants out of their transaction, and that's what Quigler gives you. Now, if by chance you did not provide us enough information to give you the correct actions for your transaction, this screen will pop up, and all we ask you to do is follow the red areas and fill it in so that we can make sure you've got the most accurate data. Let's return now finally to your transaction dashboard. This is where the transaction is that we just created, and on the left, when you connect with an agent, you will find their grade. Now that grade should always be an A. Why? Because we make sure the agent is always doing what they're supposed to do. If they don't do what they're supposed to do, a big stop sign comes up and it tells them to choose the other avenue. The goal here is to always keep the agent at an A level. Isn't that great to know that somebody's always keeping the agent and guiding them to be a superior agent and an A level agent? You'll also find here other things like seller transaction. Now again, if you're moving to Myrtle Beach and you're a buyer there, you'll find your buyer transaction, and all you do is click on the transaction and up will pop the steps and actions. In this case, the transaction is a seller of a single family in Manhattan. Now notice a couple of other things. It tells you that no agent's been selected. So on the right, if you want to select an agent and you're ready, just click that and up will pop the agents who work the area of this particular property, where you're either looking to buy or where you're looking to sell. And so in this case, the Manhattan agents will pop up and you can choose one or invite one. And if you want to know how to do that, go back to our earlier tutorial and we'll show you. That's it. You did it. here you are. This is the page you're going to be coming back to all the time. You now have the accountability, the transparency, the communication, and everything. And don't miss the next tutorial we have about notifications so that you know when you are notified that an agent has done what they are required to do.